So the current wars in the Middle East and Ukraine, for that matter, do all of these wars mean anything to India's defense industries? Are we seeing any big moves?
I think this is a great lesson. Be like Iran, be like Israel, be self-sufficient in your weapons. You should not be dependent on others in such times, because you literally cannot count on anybody in such times. Look at Iran. Almost entire Middle East is against it right now. Israel is against it right now. United States of America is against it right now.
Yeah.
There is fighting. There are news reports which say that Israel is so far it has only used missiles that were made in 2012-13. It's a country that has been preparing for this war or such an eventuality for last 20 odd years, and they've built it all themselves. All those Shahid drones, and people might say those are very low tech, etc. Look at the impact.
Exactly.
It's all their own stuff. They have built it. They have built the country prepared for such kind of...
Sweating in peace, essentially, like we said.
Exactly. The United States of America has had to, fire its top generals. It just happened 3 days ago.
Pete said fired.
They said that we are doing this, that, etc., etc. And again and again, they end up saying that another few weeks. It has made a joke of other people.
Yeah.
That is what literally national security should look like.
True.
Same goes for Israel as well. I know they are fighting each other right now, but
still, yeah.
Look at what Israel has done over various decades. It's only because of its military superiority and intelligence capabilities, supported by the Jewish lobby in the US, that they have been able to do this.
Yeah.
Every other nation in the region, they know it. They can't compete with Israel, even if US is not behind it. Nobody can compete with Israel.
Okay.
And these two are great examples to learn from. Israel has built drones that are now finding adoption everywhere, including in India. In India, Elbit Systems has a joint venture with Adani's. IWI, Israeli Weapon Industries, also has a joint venture with some other company. Multiple other entities from Israel are also building joint ventures and are actively exploring partnerships out here. They're all building stuff to sell to India.
Okay.
It's for a reason, right? We import a lot of weapons from everywhere.
Yeah.
Maximum of our imports come from Russia. Then comes France.
Right.
Third is which one? It's Israel.
Israel.
Why? Because they have actually achieved self-sufficiency. It's such a sad thing to say, but there is a member of parliament in Israel who openly gives a statement that we are now capable enough to produce so much of weapons. Who do we sell it to? So India is a great friend.
Let's sell it to them.
It's practically हमारी बेइज्जती कर दी sir. But given the state of affairs, how we have invested in our defense capabilities, not just in the last 10 years, but even before, we are just not there.
Okay.
Luckily, in the last 10 years, we have increased a lot of focus, but still, we are not there yet.
Yeah.
So the result is, we are dependent on such entities. I'll give you a very solid example. If a war happens with India, who are the two parties that we are going to fight? Either Pakistan or China. To fight them, we need a lot of fighter jets.
Yes.
We just placed a big fighter jet order with France's Dassault.
Yeah.
This is a 3.25 lakh crore contract to receive 114 planes from Dassault. The deliveries will take all the way up to 2040.
Okay.
Interesting part is what, sir?
This was kind of a old deal, if I'm not wrong.
It has finally materialized, and 114 jets. By 2040, everything will be delivered.
Okay.
2040, 15 years away. In 2025, Chinese Air Force inducted 120 J-20 jets.
5th generation.
120, more than what we are going to receive from Dassault till 2040. More importantly, this was 1 year, and this was one fighter jet. They also have other fighter jets which are produced and inducted every single year.
Not to mention UAVs.
Of course, that's a separate thing. These are just fighter jets.
Yeah.
How do you compete with that? Theoretically, by the time we will get 114 of these,
China will have 1,000.
They will have 1,800 of their J-20s. You can't compete. As simple as that. Now, senseless people will come and say that it's not the plane that matters, it's the pilot that matters.
To a limit, yes, but to a limit.
Exactly. You can't outsmart 20 or 18 or whatever you call it.
You can't
that
outsmart
many
brute
Chinese
force.
planes with one plane.
Yeah.
That too, a Dassault plane made built on technology from today, against which Chinese are only producing more and more and more of newer and newer jets. So it's a very, very bad scenario. We really need to crack this code.
Yeah.
What really gives me a lot of heartache is that I want people to Google for this one. HAL, the one who is producing the fighter jets, he recently released a photo with a bunch of Tejas Mark 1A jets that we have made these.
Okay.
Interesting point is, none of those planes, despite being built, have been given to the Indian Air Force.
No induction yet.
Why? Because these are planes without any engines. Because engines are supposed to come from GE of US.
Okay.
And engines haven't come. Interestingly, 6 engines have actually come.
Okay.
But these people are still figuring out how to fit it. I mean, fit as in
how to incorporate it.
Yeah, how to incorporate it.
Yeah.
So what's the point of clicking that photo? After 40 years of running this fighter jet development program called Tejas, somehow how many planes have been delivered to the Indian Air Force? Don't talk about the number of the orders that Indian Air Force has placed with HAL.
Matter, yeah.
How many planes have actually been delivered? Not even 36.
So it's like barely a contingent or two.
I'll just say one thing, sir. खून खोलना चाहिए हमारा. क्योंकि I'm not saying our Air Force is not capable. उनको लेकिन उड़ाने के लिए जहाज तो दीजिए.
Yeah.
And because of this serious shortfall, the result is what? That we have no options but to place this 3.75 lakh crores ka order with France's Dassault.
Yeah.
Now here is where it gets interesting. What is the biggest problem? That we don't have the engines.
Right.
But we were building an engine, right? It's called Kaveri.
Okay.
What happened with that? Well, the argument is that it never got good enough. Now I'll give you some numbers. We are ready to spend 3.75 lakh crores on foreign jets. But interestingly, we have not even invested $1 billion over the last 10 years into the Kaveri program. Of course, the game is again very simple.
Keep the talent.
No, the game is very simple on one particular front. We are a poor country, limited amount of capital, you have to spend it on a lot of things. You prioritize spending on things that gets the votes now. So where is Kaveri?
Yeah.
People can say, and people actually say this, I have also groused about it a long time, that कैसे scientists हैं हमारे, हमें Kaveri के engine नहीं बना पाए. To be very frank, कैसे बनाएंगे यार, पैसा ही नहीं मिल रहा है.
Yeah.
और government has to back it up.
Yeah.
Had Indian government poured enough money, we could have probably cracked the engine in the last 40 years.
I mean, 40 years is
I'll give you one particular stat. When Germany was under Hitler, no fan of Hitler or something, but I'll give you a stat. Within 5 years of time, at a time when German economy was under total collapse, when Hitler actually took it over, Germans managed to build a fighter engine, fighter jet, everything under 5 years of time.
Yeah.
In that era. हमें 40 साल हो गए sir, मजाक. Let's talk about China. They are investing heavily into building their own fighter jet engines.
Yeah.
And they are making great strides.
True.
They already have one engine, they are building a better one.
Okay.
You are telling me that we can't even crack one because the government has no money for it. Sir, we spend 5.5 lakh crores as a country, center and state governments combined, on different kind of subsidies, freebies, cash handouts, etc. We don't have 40,000 crores to spend on building an engine. It's a joke.
For national security.
National security. The result is HAL might build a fleet of say 160 odd Tejas planes, but they're sitting ducks. They don't have an engine.
It's like as good as a paper plane at this point. What does it do?
It's such a shame that HAL's CMD, Chairman and Managing Director, has the authority to come out and say that we have begun to receive the engines from GE. So we'll start deliveries in July, and by July of last year 2025, by March 2026 we will deliver 8 planes.
Okay.
Then it's revised to 6 planes. Then it's revised to 4 planes. Then they say we'll start deliveries by March. March is also gone. What do? They just put out a picture with a few of the team members that see we have built these jets without any engines.
I mean, a jet without the jet is as good as a rock.
Absolutely.
In fact, I would say a rock is still usable because you can hand it in a soldier's hand and you can see what has happened on our borders.
Absolutely.
At least that is useful.
आप एक बार सिर्फ सोचो ना कि बोलने में अच्छा नहीं लगता, बट क्या हमारे एयरफोर्स वालों को नहीं फील होता होगा
I
कि
can.
भाई प्लेन नहीं मिल रहे हैं हमें. लिटरली जो आदमी वो प्लेन उड़ा रहा था, मिग के चलो अब तो बंद कर दिए जितना मुझे पता है, बट अभिनंदन जी ने भी जब उड़ाया होगा, जब पाकिस्तान सीन हुआ, के अंदर से फीलिंग होती है कि यार मैं अभी वो 40 साल पुराना प्लेन क्यों उड़ा रहा हूँ. डज इट मेक एनी सेंस? अब बोलने वाले को लोग बोल सकते हैं कि यार देयर इज अ प्लेन फ्रॉम यूएस व्हिच एक्चुअली क्रैश्ड. It was downed by the Iranian forces. That plane was A-10 Warthog.
Yes.
It is a plane
It's a very
for
old
which
plane.
production ended in 1987 or something.
Yeah.
Now people might say that even US people fly that, etc. So, but US people also have a lot of other planes. US people are also smart. They deployed these planes.
Yeah.
Because this
They
is the
know.
first line of damage that they want to take.
Correct.
They don't want to have a F-35 go in and get destroyed. F-22
they're not
Raptor to be
sending
destroyed.
they're not
they are
sending
playing with these
F-18s,
first.
F-22.
Then, right? It's an escalation matrix.
It's a first wave expendable planes essentially.
In
for
our
them.
case, we only have these.
Yeah.
We have either MiGs or Sukhoi or your Tejas or a bunch of Rafales right now.
Rafales, yeah. Mirage.
Sukhois are great planes, but we don't have enough of them either.
Yeah.
Plus, we have a history of, having our Sukhois run into maintenance quite too frequently.
Right.
To be very frank. Again, not something that gets enough attention, but
spoken about
something
a
we
lot,
should be
yeah.
talking about. The result is we are in a very, very bad shape. And what are we doing about it? We really need to solve for this. Say, Kaveri or the fighter jet program, basically, for those, you need the best of talent.
True.
Best of talent is not sitting out here to do a HAL job for 2 lakh rupees, to do a DRD or ADA job for 3 lakh rupees.
Correct.
They are going out to Lockheed Martin and they are hiring.
Easily. They are aggressively.
There is a reason why, so depending on what stat you believe, whatever people graduate from IIT Bombay, irrespective of whatever stream, every single year, 60% go out of India right out of their first job. They are not the culprits.
Why would they?
It's our country who, after subsidizing their education, everything, getting them ready, is not able to retain them.
Retain them. Yeah.
To retain them, you need to give them opportunities.
Yeah.
And there is no dearth of opportunities in India's national security apparatus for any sort of things, be it for telecom, be it for energy, be it for defense. The problem is, best of talent to be retained requires top dollar money, and we are not ready to spend that.
Correct.
We would rather spend that money on France's Dassault Rafale planes. That is the problem.
Yeah.
With that kind of money, trust me, sir, we could retain a lot of that top talent, which today prefers going off to US, working for NASA, working for Lockheed Martin, working for Raytheon Corp. These people could be retained out here to work for DRDO, ISRO, etc. But again, we don't want to retain them. As simple as that. Yeah. And I am very, very blunt on this one. This is a major drag. After subsidizing the education in those IITs, the best of our talent, we're just letting them go. How? And the answer is not ki ban them going out. That is never going to work. Bans never work. You have to respect talent.
Yes.
There is one very special thing. Talent and capital, they go where they are respected.
Yeah.
As simple as that. In India, neither is being respected. And that's a big problem. It's a double whammy.
Is blind conformity actually patriotism?
There is a big difference in the LinkedIn language and the Instagram language or the YouTube language. Why? By the time we will get 114 of these, they will have 1800 of them.
How is this not Deshdroh?
And India mein deficit bahut hai. So what are we really clapping for? So in 26 days, I got to 10,000 followers.
Lovely. Why didn't we ever do something similar for the K10 education in it? $2 trillion IPO later this year with a very small liquidation.
You cannot always be right, but your intention should never be wrong. Please don't trust anybody. Everybody is paid for.
Jayant Mundhra is a financial analyst who tells it like it is. He's a fast-growing Instagram and YouTube influencer, especially with his partnership with Crore recently. And he's also a published author. And also, there's another book coming around. But his biggest achievement, in my view, is his WhatsApp and newsletter community of more than 45,000 people, and it is still growing, if I'm not wrong. In fact, his LinkedIn is yet to catch up to it. Hopefully, by the end, that'll be done. His highly engaged inner circle reads his insights every single day. Everything from markets to China to global, he covers it all. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, sir. It's lovely being here.
The whole problem with India losing talent is not new, right? And especially the studious minds, the research intensive minds, the scientists, especially in this case, rocket scientists, right? It takes me to the recent Artemis 2 launch that happened, and successively SpaceX is also sort of planning for an IPO that has sort of come up, right, in the next 6 months or so. They're, I think, looking for a $2 trillion IPO later this year with a very small liquidation. Would these kinds of activities bring any kind of investment windfall into the Indian space startup ecosystem, or just Indian space ecosystem?
I'll just put it this way. In 2025, ISRO did 5 space launches. China did 93. US launched a plane every 1 day and 20 hours. It did a launch every 1 day and 20 hours. That 1 day and 20 hours, majority of it that is from SpaceX.
Yeah.
And that is what gets them $2 trillion valuation. I don't know if it should be 700 billion or 2 trillion, but there's a material difference in what they are building, what we are building with 5 launches a year. That's very clear. Number one. Worse, people might say that our needs are different, etc., etc. Well, there is a country called New Zealand.
Yeah.
It's a very small, teeny tiny country.
Yeah.
That has a little startup called Rocket Lab. That Rocket Labs last year did 19 launches. Why the heck are we doing 5? This is not because we are not capable enough of doing more. We have done more in the past. The problem is, to do a rocket launch, you need a purpose. The purpose is, what are the satellites that you want to launch?
Right.
When it comes to satellite launches, the hard truth is, we were very cheap earlier, but with the rise of reusable rockets, especially from China as well as SpaceX, both have those capabilities now.
Okay.
Ours is a very costly proposition, because of which even Indian companies launching their satellites in the space, much of those go and work with other players.
Mainly SpaceX at this point.
So, we are literally falling behind. Our people like to live in this false pride that ISRO is this and that. They are still living in that fantasy that, we sent a bot to Mars or Moon at this particular cost. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Which is good, appreciated, but
it's a sign of capability. But capability does not translate into
consistency
scale and consistency. Out here, they are doing it every single day. Cost might be very different for that one big mega fantasy project, but on the everyday business, they are way, way cheaper than you.
Yeah.
SpaceX is able to do a launch every 1 day and 20 hours. Uska matlab aap samajh rahe hain, sir? It's become a usual affair.
Yeah.
They are a beast, they are a machine.
It's like 150
People
launches
that have
a
gotten
year.
used to it. Out here, every time it's a space launch by ISRO,
Yeah.
it still makes 2 headlines.
True.
ISRO successfully launches this, and people are, celebrating. There, it's a usual affair.
So if you just fly by Florida or just try to land, the
It's
chances
every
are
day.
with every 2 days you will see at least one launch.
Something. Out here, the question should be, what are we doing to get there? China has gotten to 93 a year.
Okay, that's also
And
very
it's
high.
expanding very fast. China has 3 private sector and 4 public sector entities which are building rockets.
Okay.
They are serious about this thing. Where are we? We have 2 entities which are making a lot of strides. One is called Skyroot Aerospace, one is called Agnikul Cosmos. Both are building rockets. Great. Why just 2?
Right.
What are we doing to have another 10?
Yeah.
The 2 players out here that we discussed, they are also yet to get to reusable stage. It's a very long journey.
Right.
We need more competition, more players to come in.
More investment.
There is a big market,
Yeah.
which is leaving India and taking the satellites to other countries to make launches. Let us build players out here.
Yeah.
But we are not doing that right now. Let's be very clear about it. So, I don't see a reason why, even if people are supposed to get excited about the aerospace ecosystem, the space ecosystem, investments are going to flow out here.
Right.
Some capital will come, not a lot. The capital is going to go to enterprising, competitive enough countries like New Zealand, which has Rocket Labs, or China, which has multiple such players trying to crack this code.
That's just what's going to happen. So hopefully something better does come along the way. Now, Indians have traditionally held most of their wealth in real estate, right? But an increasing number of youngsters are essentially priced out of the market. So is real estate market nearing a collapse in that sense?
No, sir, absolutely not.
Should it?
See, there are cycles. A cycle coming to a new stability round or slowing down does not mean it has collapsed. Number one. Number two, real estate doesn't get much of the money or the boom from stock market money, etc., etc. It's basically black money, and everybody knows about it.
Yeah.
If we go to make a transaction today, right, the property dealer or the owner is going to ask, kitna black, kitna white. If you say कि black का है ही नहीं, मैं तो खाली white में ही कमाता हूँ, then suddenly the price jumps.
Yeah.
Because for the other person, the tax liability jumps.
Correct.
That is the market we live in. Number two, when it comes to all the black money generated in the country by various kind of businesses or etc., is practically stored in three forms: either cash, which is highly inefficient.
Yeah.
Number two, gold. Number three is real estate. As a result of which, the demand for real estate only keeps on going up and up and up.
Okay.
So, the more the black money in the market, the more the demand for real estate.
Yeah.
That is how it basically works. Very simple. Now, the real estate bubble will basically go down the day the government does something really serious about the black money problem.
But we did demonetization, no? That was supposed to take out all the black money.
But then we also printed 2000 rupees note, no? Which is going to make it easier for people to stash the black money.
And then we stopped it also.
After many years. But thing is, we need a serious effort to address the black money problem. Let's be very clear, black money is never going to go away.
Yeah.
But can we control its growth? That is something we're not solving for. I'll tell you the problem, right? What happens is, when you have so much of black money being created, but all of that is only going to two assets, what happens? Those two assets
Get inflated.
highly inflated.
Yeah.
The result is, housing in this country is getting out of hands for the common people.
Yeah.
बहुत मुश्किल हो गया सर घर लेना आम आदमी के लिए.
Absolutely. Impossible है almost.
आप गुड़गांव में जाओ 2 करोड़ के नीचे तो अच्छा घर नहीं मिलता.
True.
1.5-2 करोड़ के, unless आप मानेसर साइड चले जाओ.
And that's a city that has questionable, plumbing and other systems.
Absolutely. I mean,
I saw.
this is crazy. And this is not just housing, by the way. You want to build a factory, you need land. The cost of land in this country is such, people don't want to build factories.
Yes.
Unless they already have land, that is
traditionally.
ancestral.
Yeah.
That's the sad point. So the result is, multiple states have now begun to walk towards the land bank model, where it's government which buys the land at very hefty prices,
Right.
then leases it out at
Cheaper
prices to the industries for them to set up stuff.
Okay.
Because land is so costly now. What do you do?
I've also seen, I mean, it's sort of a collateral damage and it might be a petty thing, but because I'm a bit of a foodie, I've seen that rising real estate prices have led to India as a whole having very bad food places. You know why? The rent is high. The people who own the real estate need no competition. Okay. And as it is very difficult to set up a business and make it profitable in the food sector. Somehow, with all hard work and luck and patience, you get there. The moment the owner sees that, oh, you're seeing a lot of crowd coming in, they will just increase the rent unilaterally.
Yeah.
What ends up happening? Good places go bankrupt because they're tired of paying 40-50% of their income as rent.
Yeah.
We don't get good things at all because of this real estate crisis.
That's a big problem. And it's all linked to black money.
Yeah. And the black money obviously funds into our elections, and that is why there is no incentive to solve it. There is zero incentive to solve it.
All you need is one good person. We are here to find that. I'll just put it that way.
True.
I mean, Atal ji हमेशा बोलते थे ना, Atal बिहारी वाजपेयी, that हम रहे ना रहे ये देश रहना चाहिए.
There's a reason he is highly respected.
Sir, anyways, not much of truth is spoken out there.
For today's location, we have the Aravali Story to thank. Aravali Story is a premium resto cafe in Sector 85 of Greater Faridabad. They have been excellent hosts to us, and we cannot recommend this place enough for a lot of things. Everything from normal food to maybe parties. So you can check them out. The link is in the description. And back to the video. Yeah, so for all this talk of growth that we have, that India has this huge potential and everything, we need smarter Indians, right? What is happening in India's higher ed spaces? Like, when will we have our own multidisciplinary Harvard and Stanford and Yales?
Frankly, when we solve for the needs of the country.
Okay.
Right now, what we are solving for is who is friendlier to me. I'll give you an example.
You as in?
The government. Think of it this way.
Or the politicians, I think let's be more specific.
Politicians.
Not even the
governments,
government.
the politicians. Now think of it this way. Every time election happens and the ruling party changes, the deans or the directors of all the state government institutions or the central government institutions, they get changed.
Yeah.
These are political appointees. Not that they are not good at this job, but who gets to be a director is not chosen basis how good they are.
Yes. Correct. It's not a meritorious position.
And even the professors out there in these institutions, they are divided.
True.
Who is pro which side?
Correct.
And accordingly, every 5 years, there are certain ones who are going to be in favor
Right.
from the director
Correct.
for all of their projects. The other side won't be. All of that is in play.
Yeah.
The result is that we have a system in place where it's not about who does the best of research, rather it's more about who does the best of stuff that keeps the party in power happy. That is one. Number two is, there is no merit for the teachers to actually do a good job, the professors to do a good job, higher education mein. Think of it this way, they are not, the promotions and other things, it does play a role but not much. Ki how much of R&D you are doing, etc. I'll give you an example. A lot of people talk about, this college has filed these many patents. Only filed is something that people talk about. Nobody talks about how many patents have been granted. Correct. By the way, just a fun fact, totally digressing.
I know.
But there's a company called Ola Electric. I really love them.
I've never heard of it. Never heard you talk about it.
So people basically, somebody on Twitter, one of their paid bots, the bot has 11,000 followers, so it's a paid person. But he put out that, Ola Electric has filed 550 patents. Last year alone, they filed 180 patents. This is what real R&D looks like. No, real R&D looks like how many of these patents have been granted, and suddenly nobody is talking about it because the company is also not reporting any of that.
Right.
So that is where the real mass lies. Same is the case with institutions. The government of India changed the norms. We are not doing enough R&D. Let us incentivize that. Yeah. So to file a patent, there is a lot of cost, about 2 lakh rupees, 3 lakh rupees. The R&D, etc. It takes a lot of money, right? So the cost of patent filing, government said we will subsidize.
Okay.
So we'll bring down the expense to something like 4,000-5,000 rupees.
Okay.
So you focus on the R&D.
Right. They focused on filing.
Yes. They optimized for the metric that, okay, we can file more of these. And that means what? When the NIRF comes in for the college rankings,
they
look at how much R&D is being done by the metric of how many patents are being filed. So the higher the numbers of patents filed, the better is the ranking that you get.
Now that ranking has to change now, and look at the...
The point is, this is what our higher education ecosystem is about today. I'm not saying there are not people who are doing a good job.
Yeah.
But much of the people out there are about this system. And that's the big problem.
And you see now these IITs, we have these IITs, we have our IIMs, right? They are seen as essentially the crown jewels of higher ed in India. But why didn't we ever do something similar for the K-10 education in India? And I'm talking across all governments in power.
क्योंकि सर उनसे वोट अभी नहीं आएगा ना.
I just did not expect this answer, I swear.
हकीकत है. You vote for people. Sorry, you do things for people. हमारे हिंदुस्तान में ये होता है. In the end, it's a money problem.
Yeah.
Limited amount of capital.
Right.
You spend money on things that is going to help you get another election. It's not about कि देश रहना चाहिए. It's about कुर्सी पे मेरा कूलर रहना चाहिए. क्या अच्छे स्कूल बनाने से अभी 2 साल बाद जो इलेक्शन आ रहा है, 3 साल में जो इलेक्शन, 5 साल में जो इलेक्शन आ रहा है, उसमें मेरा आने का चांस बढ़ेगा? प्रोबेबली नो. क्यों? स्कूल में भी जो बच्चा जाएगा वो तो वोट बहुत बाद में जाके देगा.
It's gonna take him at least 15 years from now.
Yes.
At least. So you yourself are a proud parent. You are seeing your child grow in front of your own eyes, luckily. Based on your personal experience, what is your take on the cost versus value proposition of the current private education system, especially on the K-10 side?
It's exorbitant. अभी 4 दिन पहले बात हो रही थी हमारे घर में. He was talking, so my brother-in-law, he has a 5-year-old kid.
Mm-hmm.
And her fees, right? They live in Gurgaon.
Okay.
So per month the fees is going to be 12,500 rupees. My schooling ended in 2013. At that time, for the whole quarter,
Yeah.
I was paying about 4,500, means monthly 1,500 rupees.
Yeah, same here.
I was in 12th grade and monthly 1,500 rupees. This little girl of 5 years old is in LKG and paying 12,500 rupees just about 10 years later. Not even 10 years.
What is
Or
she
something like
learning?
that. I mean, this is crazy.
What are you supposed to teach them? Rocket science?
No. They're supposed to teach them
ABC?
ABC भी नहीं सर, इस पे कलर कैसे करना है, ये सब चल रहा है. और उसका अलग से पैसा दिया जाता है, आर्ट एंड क्राफ्ट का अलग से पैसा होता है. The cost of education in India is very crazy. And by the way, as per the government parlance, schools are bound to be non-profit in India.
They're supposed to be.
Yeah. So how do they end up being profitable? Due credits to the Ken. The Ken के एक जर्नलिस्ट है, उन्होंने बहुत प्यारे इस पे काम किया. And due credits to Aditya said what नाम से एक Instagram पे अकाउंट है. He popularized this entire thing.
Yeah.
Amazing guy. I mean, they explained it beautifully. What happens is most of these schools, they are supposed to be non-profit. So where are they set up? The owner basically sets a non-profit entity which runs the school, a trust or something. But the school is set up on a land that is owned separately by the owner, for which the rent is decided by this guy. Now rent can be any number.
Yeah.
School is not earning profit, but the promoter of the school is, the owner of the school is, even though none of this should actually happen.
They also have all the other vendors be their own family members, like uniforms, books, facility management services,
Yeah.
teachers and their payrolls.
So I'll tell you one more thing. This little kid, right, that I told you about, the books that she has just bought for the entire year, this LKG का बच्चा है,
Mhm.
छोटी बच्ची है, 10,320 rupees
What?
for books. 10,320 rupees. This is the education apparatus of India today.
And government is doing nothing about it.
Zilch. At the same time, I'll give you more. Number of government-owned schools in India is only going down. Shutting down schools where there are not a lot of kids.
Yeah.
Not solving for the problem. Why are there not a lot of kids
Yeah.
when a lot of kids are still not ever enrolled into a school? That's something to solve for. Instead, they're shutting down the school itself. That बच्चे ही नहीं है, क्या करेंगे स्कूल चला के?
Kids don't come because they need to earn and they need food, so you have to give them meals. But these guys are busy showing a boiled egg on the plate and taking it away. I mean, when I saw that news, my heart sank, not because they were faking the whole situation. What broke my heart was that not even for the photo op, they could let that kid eat the boiled egg. They showed the kid the boiled egg on the plate and then they had to take it away for some reason. A boiled bloody egg.
It's so painful, right?
How is this not terrorism? How is this not देशद्रोह?
मैं आपको एक बात बताता हूँ. So, there is this show, तारक मेहता का उल्टा चश्मा.
Yes.
I still watch it. उसके पुराने एपिसोड्स आर गोल्ड. तो उसमें there is a character, आपके टप्पू के पापा जो जेठालाल हैं, उनके फादर है चंपकलाल गड़ा.
Okay.
Now he is somebody who is like the moral compass of the society in that show.
Okay.
He comes and corrects everybody, shows the
Okay.
right path, etc. Talks about morals, how the country should be, how our behavior should be.
Okay.
उन्होंने तब जो बातें उस शो में बोली आज से 15 साल पहले उस कैरेक्टर ने, राइट,
Mm-hmm.
ऑलरेडी सिचुएशन बहुत खराब थी हिंदुस्तान की. आज वो देखते, वो कैरेक्टर ना खुद अपने वाली गला ऐसे दबा के खुद को खत्म कर देते. ये क्या हो रहा है? हम उस स्टेट पे हैं. लाइक इट और नॉट, दुख होना चाहिए हमें. वैल्यू ऑफ लाइफ एक चीज़ होती है ना, हर आदमी की कीमत की ज़िंदगी होती है, वो हमने क्या बना रखी है. आपको पीने के लिए साफ पानी नहीं मिलता है, लेने के लिए साफ सांस नहीं मिलती है. आप सब कुछ कर करके हर चीज़, चलो एक आरओ लगा लिया, सब कुछ कर लिया, एक एयर पहले सब कुछ कर लिया.
Yeah.
आप मेहनत से आप एक गाड़ी लेते हो, उसके अंदर जो पेट्रोल जाता है वो इथेनॉल वाला जाता है, जिससे उसमें जंग लगने लग जाता है. जबकि आपने सब टैक्सेस सब कुछ भरा, आपकी क्या गलती थी? आपकी मेहनत की कमाई से आपने लिया ना.
Yeah.
उसके बाद चलो अपनी गाड़ी ले ली, ठीक है, आप उसे चला रहे हो, आगे जा रहे हो, आपके पैसे से लेकर के आपने पहले तो गाड़ी के ऊपर जो आपने ओवरऑल अपने टैक्स दिया, 50-60% ऑफ दी टोटल वैल्यू आपका टैक्स है. अलग तरह का टैक्स, रोड टैक्स, तो सरकार के पास जाए, म्यूनिसिपल के पास जाए, किसी के पास भी जाए, वो सब हो गया. अब वो गाड़ी फिर आप चलाते हो, सरकार को इतना मोटा टैक्स, मेजॉरिटी टैक्स पेट्रोल का भी, मतलब कि जो वैल्यू है वो टैक्स है.
Absolutely.
हो गया, सरकार को दे रहे हो.
Half of it is, I think,
Yeah.
just taxes.
फिर आप जो गाड़ी जिस सड़क पे चला रहे हो वो आपके टैक्सेस से बनी है. उसके ऊपर जो मेट्रो का जो पुल बन रहा है वो आपके टैक्सेस से बन रहा है, और वही वाला मेट्रो का पुल आपके ऊपर गिर जाता है, आप खत्म हो जाते हो. और सरकार आगे क्या बोलती है?
5 lakhs.
2 लाख रुपया, 5 लाख रुपया.
And even that money doesn't
एंड
really
प्राउडली
reach
बताया जाता है
on time.
कि वी अंडरस्टैंड. और किसी सरकारी एम्प्लॉय का चले जाए तो उसके परिवार वाले को किसी को जॉब घोषित कर देते हैं. दिस इज द वैल्यू ऑफ लाइफ इन दिस कंट्री. हम अपने बच्चों को साफ हवा, साफ पानी, ढंग की एजुकेशन और खाना, हम ये 4 चीज़ नहीं दे पा रहे हैं सर. मैं हमारे देश के लिए बुरा नहीं बोल रहा, मैं खाली हमारे पॉलिटिकल अपैरेटस के लिए बोल रहा हूँ, बीजेपी, कांग्रेस, आम आदमी पार्टी, एसपी, बीएसपी, डीएमके, एआईडीएमके, जो भी है सबके लिए बोल रहा हूँ, आपने फेल किया इस कंट्री को, इसके यूथ को, इसके बुजुर्ग को, हर किसी को। देश का भला तो हुआ नहीं, देश तो इन सब के बावजूद आगे बढ़ रहा है,
डिस्पाइट इट नॉट।
बट लुक एट देयर प्रॉस्पेक्ट्स, लुक एट देयर मनी। सबके पास कोठियाँ हैं, सबके पास 4 फॉर्च्यूनर हैं, जब भी बाहर जाते हैं तो भैया पूरा
सर नॉट फॉर्च्यूनर, बुलेट प्रूफ,
पूरा संग्राम निकलता है। देयर आर पॉलिटिशियंस हु आल्सो हैव बिजनेस होल्डिंग्स, वहां से आता है पैसा, मान लेता हूँ, बट मेजॉरिटी डोंट हैव एनीथिंग। वो तो जब से पैदा हुए कॉलेज में जाके पॉलिटिक्स शुरू करी तब से वही कर रहे हैं।
And all of a sudden their net worth just keeps growing.
Yeah.
The GDP of their state, their constituency never goes up, or goes up maybe a little bit, but their own personal GDP would just sort of skyrocket.
But मैं आपको ये कहूँगा, आप गलत कह रहे हो सर। Why? Because on paper,
they're not
basis what they are filing on to the election affidavit, etc., even their wealth is not growing as much as they are able to show somehow.
The thing is, ironically, even with these arrangements, if we look at the data of the difference in wealth, even then you would see that this skyrocket movement exists. That is despite all of the hiding that happens.
Absolutely.
Imagine what is it that they're not hiding.
Absolutely. I'll tell you where the problem is. So, right next to us out here is Delhi-Mumbai Expressway. Okay? I'm sure you would have used it today. It's a beautiful piece of infrastructure.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
It was supposed to be completed about 2 years ago, but ठीक है नहीं हुआ, ठीक है. It's still incomplete because a lot of work in parts of Gujarat was given to a contractor who did not fulfill it, then re-tendered and again given to the same party. So that is also okay. But पूरा stretch अभी खुला नहीं है.
Right.
उससे पहले जो stretch है जिस पे भी आप आए हो, इस पे already जगह इस पे पैच वर्क already हो चुका है.
Excellent.
वो जो पैच वर्क हुआ वो इसलिए हुआ क्योंकि सड़क इतना ख़राब बना, क्योंकि जो सड़क के लिए पैसा गया था उनमें से किसी न किसी नेता के बच्चे की शादी में लगा है। वो पैच वर्क लगाने के लिए दोबारा जो पैसा किसी को दिया गया है ना, उसमें भी हिस्सा होगा जो किसी और नेता की, पॉलिटिशियन की बेटी या बेटा की शादी में लगेगा। और मुझे समझ नहीं आ रहा कि जब उनकी शादी के पैसे हमें ही देने, कन्यादान हमसे करा लो। सटायर था, बट पॉइंट इज यू गेट द पॉइंट, राइट?
कुछ नहीं तो बुला के खाना ही खिला दो।
But somehow we never complain about these things.
Maybe give the entire constituency one day's meal at least.
Somehow, if I put this out on Instagram, right, there will be half the audience who will be out there and basically, saying,
defending them.
तुम्हें खाली गलती क्यों दिखता है? गडकरी जी ने ये भी तो किया। मुझे फर्क नहीं पड़ता गडकरी जी ने क्या क्या किया भैया। मेरे को ये दिख रहा है, मैं इस कंस्टिट्यूंसी का पार्ट हूँ, मेरे सामने टैक्स पेयर का पैसा लग के ये बना है, जिसके लिए सालों साल तक मुझे टोल भी देना है। और सड़क क्या बनी? लिखा जाता है हर जगह, स्पीड लिमिट 120 किलोमीटर पर आवर। कुछ लोग होते हैं राउडीज, वो 140 पे भी चलाएंगे। मेजॉरिटी पीपल कांट इवन राइड 80। इट्स अ शेम। गो टू जर्मनी, वहाँ पे हाईवेज को ऑटोबान बोलता है, ऑटोबान बोलते हैं वहाँ पे जो चलाते हैं ना गाड़ियाँ। सो व्हाई डू दे से दैट जर्मन कार्स दे ड्राइव सो गुड एटसेट्रा? बिकॉज दे आर मेड फॉर दोज
जर्मन रोड्स।
पीपल ड्राइव देयर एट 220 240 किलोमीटर पर आवर। माइल्स में नंबर अलग होता है, बट इफेक्टिवली दैट इट्स नॉट दैट सेफ नहीं होता एटसेट्रा। वहाँ पे सेफ भी होता है,
सुपर सेफ। Rather they have minimum limits on their highways.
Exactly. इससे कम में नहीं चलाना है। हमारे यहाँ पे सड़कें देखो, मैं चैलेंज करता हूँ नितिन गडकरी जी को, खुद बोल रहा हूँ, खुला बोल रहा हूँ, बार बार बोलता हूँ, मैं अपनी रील में भी डाल दूंगा। आप जो वीडियो डालते हो ना बार बार, देखो नया हाईवे बना, मैं उसमें गाड़ी में गया, ग्लास यहाँ पे रखा, पानी शेक करता लेकिन बाहर नहीं निकलता। वो क्या स्मूथ हमने सड़क बनाई। 1 साल बाद उसी पे चला के दिखाओ सर आप। दिल्ली मुंबई एक्सप्रेसवे यही स्ट्रेच फरीदाबाद से हो जाता है,
6 महीना का,
उस पर आप चलाओ।
एक बारिश होने दो एंड देन सी।
बिना बारिश की हो गया सर, बारिश की तो अब शुरू हो रहा है, उससे पहले यहाँ पैचवर्क लग चुका है। बारिश के बाद तो सोचो क्या होगा। एंड दिस इज एन इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर ऑफ नेशनल इंपॉर्टेंस, दिस इज एन नेशनल हाईवे, a national expressway for that matter.
If you are given a $10 billion budget over the next 10 years in India, but you can choose only one of these options, what would you spend it on? Higher ed or K10 ed?
K10.
Why?
वहीं पे तो सारा डेवलपमेंट होना है सर, फ्यूचर तो उन्हीं का है। हमारा तो क्या देखो, बड़े हो चुके हैं, टू बी वेरी फ्रैंक। सब कुछ और खत्म हो गया, नहीं बचा कुछ देश में, देश छोड़ के चले जाएंगे कहीं और चाहिए। हम तो कहीं सेटल भी हो सकते हैं। हमारे बच्चों का क्या फ्यूचर होगा? फ्यूचर तो उनका बनाना है ना।
करेक्ट।
वही नहीं रहे तो फिर क्या पॉइंट है? देश तो आगे उन्हीं के लिए ना। लोग बोलते हैं देश रहना चाहिए, देश रहेगा तो कौन वहाँ रहेगा? इनको रहना है तो K10, सोचने की बात ही नहीं। फिर इस पे सर एक बात याद है, मैं आपको बताता हूँ। सो अभी ना बिहार में इलेक्शन हुआ था कुछ टाइम पहले। तो ऑफकोर्स दे लॉस्ट फॉर वॉट एवर रीजंस, बट जो अपोजिशन साइड से जो आ रहे थे, दैट इज तेजस्वी यादव।
Okay.
लालू यादव के बेटे.
Mhm.
Now he made a promise. Every household in Bihar should get at least one government job. We will ensure it. Bihar already has average one government job for one household. ठीक है? You're talking about 10x that number. For a government जो कि साल का massive deficit में already चलती है. मतलब इनका सैलरी कैसे दोगे? Practically. और अब दिमाग लगा के सोचो. वहाँ के लोग इतना नहीं सोचते, पता नहीं क्यों.
Absolutely.
या सोचते हैं तो पता नहीं.
Again, they have been
और खाली वहाँ की कहानी हर स्टेट की, by the way. मैं खाली बिहार का एग्जाम्पल की उन्होंने लाइन बोली.
systematically they have been kept such that they don't ask these
मैं
questions.
तो बोल रहा हूँ बिहारी आदमी खराब नहीं है.
Hmm.
बिहार के लोग एकदम, लेकिन उनकी सरकारों ने उनको बनाया.
Correct.
बट ठीक है, चलो वो भी छोड़ते हैं. नाउ पॉइंट इज, अब अगर आप चलो आपने बना दी 10x नौकरियां, उनकी सैलरीज पेंशन कैसे दोगे? यू आर गोइंग टू बोरो मोर.
Correct.
बोरिंग कौन चुकाएगा? हमारे बच्चे.
Yeah.
इफेक्टिवली
It's
क्या
a
हुआ?
loan on the future, right?
इफेक्टिवली क्या हुआ? हमारे टाइम तक ये हुआ, हमारे माँ बाप ने अपना पेट काट करके, मेहनत करके, अपने सारे लग्जरीज छोड़ करके पैसा जोड़ा कि हम खर्च कर सकें. और हम ये बोल रहे हैं हम अपने बच्चों का पेट काट रहे हैं, उनकी लग्जरीज छीन रहे हैं जो कभी जिएंगे ही नहीं, क्योंकि हम उनसे आज पैसा उधार ले रहे हैं. दैट इज़ वॉट इट हैज़ कम डाउन टू. ये मैं क्यों बोल रहा हूँ? ये मैसेज है उन सब लोगों के लिए जो कि खुश होते हैं कि इस पॉलिटिशियन ने बोला मैं इतना ये कर दूंगा वो कर दूंगा. इट्स अ कॉस्ट. देयर आर हैंडफुल ऑफ स्टेट्स इन दिस कंट्री जो कि फिस्कल सरप्लस में चलते हैं. बाकी सब कर्जा ले रहे हैं आपके आने वाले बच्चों से. उनका भला सोचो और उस हिसाब से सोचो कौन सा आदमी मेरे बच्चों के लिए ज़्यादा कुछ टेबल पे छोड़ने वाला है, उसको वोट दो. एंड मैं ये नहीं कह रहा कि बीजेपी ऐसा कर रही है, कांग्रेस ऐसा कर रही है, सब के सब ऐसा कर रहे हैं. अफसोस ये है कि इन अ कंट्री ऑफ 150 करोड़ पीपल हमें आगे पीछे दो ही साइड नजर आती है. हमें बस ऑल्टरनेटिव नजर नहीं आते.
Honestly, the problem is not just that they see two sides. When someone says this, you would assume that they are thinking of side A and side B. No, they are thinking of my side and the wrong side.
Yes.
That is the core issue.
आई मीन सिंपल चीज़ है ना सर. चलो ठीक है, एक हाइपोथेटिकल केस, यू आर प्रो मोदी.
Okay.
ठीक है, आई एम प्रो राहुल, विच आई एम नॉट, बट आई एम प्रो राहुल इन दिस केस. ठीक है, नाउ बोथ आर प्रो इंडिया.
In their ways.
We both want India first. Most of the Indian people has forgotten that.
Yeah.
For them, Modi equals India, its future, its prospects, its everything, or Rahul equals its India, future in that, and that is where the problem comes.
Correct.
Even if they do something wrong, these people end up defending them.
Yeah.
Even if they do something right, they are like, wow, oh my God, Lord Modi, Lord Rahul. And I'm like, it doesn't work that way, dude. If they're doing something good, it's their job as the public leader, as a government appointed person sitting on that chair. It's their job to do a good job. And thereafter, what our job is to look at other countries or the real on-ground status and tell our politicians, you did a good job, but why are we not good enough to match up to them?
Yeah.
Or why are we not doing good this? Our job is not to, clap for our political leaders.
Yeah.
Our job is to ensure that they are always on their toes doing better for the country.
Correct.
Because our job is not supposed to be pro Modi, pro Rahul, pro Kejriwal, pro this, pro that. Our job is to be pro India.
Correct.
And India mein deficit bahut hai. There is a lot that is still to be built out here,
Absolutely.
to be done out here. So what are we really clapping for?
Because I have seen that it's no secret that Indians love idealization, right? So be it actors, politicians, athletes, even influencers for that matter. People pick a side and they just live and die by it. Does it seem healthy to you, and are there any personal mental filters that Indians should cultivate to change it?
I have a very simple framework. It's my research framework जो हर चीज़ में चलता है. जो भी आप मीडिया में पढ़ते हो, that is not insight but information. There is a big difference between insight and information. So how do you bring out insight from an information? प्रॉब्लम ये है कि हर चीज़ प्लांटेड है. कुछ अच्छा पढ़ रहे हो, कंपनी खुद अपने बारे में प्लांट कर रही है. If you're reading something bad, it's been planted by the other side. So is there no truth in it? There might be some parts that are true. So how do you get to the right insight? Answer is very simple, a simple framework. Whenever reading any piece of news, any piece of claim from any politician, any actor, anybody for that matter, always look out for only four things. Is there something too big, too small, or too good, or too bad? So if the opposition says something which sounds like apocalyptic, very bad. Or if the government says something which sounds like too good, everything is going to change. Or if some numbers sound too small or too big, always go to ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, whatever tool you use, or maybe just go to Google and ask it, how does this thing work out? This part, too good part or too small part, how does it work out? 99.99% of the times, what you're going to find is there is much more to it than you were told.
Right.
And that is how you find your answers.
With that said, what according to you is the definition of a real patriot? Is blind conformity actually patriotism?
No, it's stupidity.
So what is a real patriot according to you?
यार देखो, मैं आपको ये बताता हूँ पेट्रियट कौन नहीं होता. The person for whom answer to everything is look what's happening in Pakistan. That is not a patriot. That's a stupid bigot. Why do I say that? Because a patriot does not hate other countries, irrespective whether it is Pakistan, Afghanistan, Bangladesh, or whichever. A patriot's job is very simple: love your country. And loving your country is not equal to hating other countries. Number one. Now, to love your country, what do you need to do? You have to see that our country excels in whatever there is to excel on. For that, what do? You always look up to the best, learn from them, and then you look inwards. Always look inwards, and then tell your leaders, hey, this is where we are. Yes, we have come a long way, but look where they have gone in the meanwhile. What can we do to match them?
Right.
That is a patriot's job. Nothing else.
I think a third thing is, in order for a patriot to love his country, his or her country, a patriot should love its inhabitants first, because there is no country if there is no people.
Absolutely.
A piece of land never makes a country, the people do. It's 500, 5,000, 500,000, doesn't matter. Once you do that, you start to care deeply about what happens to your fellow countrymen.
Yeah.
And the moment that happens, you start to care about what is happening, how it could get better, because unless and until you have the core of it all, the humanity, you are probably some guy with a flag.
Absolutely.
Doesn't understand shit.
Agree with you, 100%.
With that said, you spoke about looking inwards, right? And a lot of a part of looking inwards is looking at yourself critically. So how should one cultivate intellectual humility and objectivity in a world where information is, like you said, easily manipulated?
I think the answer is very, very simple. Intention should always be to go to the depth of everything.
Okay.
You cannot always be right. There are things on which you will have wrong opinions, but your intention should never be wrong. Your intention should never be that, yeah, I have to find a way to support BJP in this, or I have to find a way or an angle or a data point to support Congress on this. Your idea should be, what is happening out here? I want to understand the depth of it.
Right.
And then accordingly the opinion will be formed, whether BJP is right, Congress is right, or nobody is right. There is some third angle to it, or maybe both are right.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, there are nuances attached to it.
Correct.
But intention should always be, a real intention should be to go to the depth of it.
Right.
At the end of it, there is a chance that you may still end up with a wrong connotation, a wrong answer, but the odds are still lower.
Right.
Versus just saying that, no, I saw this on WhatsApp, on Instagram, etc. So I'll give you an example, right? I'm also very clear about this thing, that in the end, I am a one-person army so far, equipped with a lot of use of AI and everything. I do a lot of research. I put out a lot of content. There are times when I end up putting out erroneous information because my research had lapses.
Correct.
But intention should never be wrong.
Correct.
If the intention ever is in my research that, okay, let us try to find specific certain set of data points that are going to look Yogi Adityanath of UP CM, look very good in his job, then there is a problem.
Right.
Idea should be to see what is making sense, what is not.
What is the current status? That's it.
Yeah.
In black and white.
What is behind it? How did we get here? Could we have done better? Not. How have other people done? And not just in the government side of things, for that matter, even public side, because private side. So I do a lot of analysis on publicly listed companies and business side of it, etc. Now, when I'm doing analysis on any company, even if for Ola Electric, I don't go in from the angle that, let us find the most negative piece of insight in this one. What is going wrong? I never go recover companies' DRHP or IPO documents or their quarterly filings to look for, okay, let's find out what's happening wrong out here. Idea should be, let's learn what the business is. How are they running it? What's really happening out here?
So this is how you become an unbiased analyst.
That is how it always should be. You end up learning that way. There will be some things that will be very nice. There will be some things that will be very bad. There will be some cases where more things will be bad. There will be some cases where more things will be nice. Then you decide, okay, agar there is some place where you find too much of negatives, and you feel like, so for example, my content framing is also very simple. If you find too much of negative findings in something versus good ones, and you feel like people are not really talking about this stuff,
Right.
then you feel the urge to cultivate some awareness around it and some discourse around it.
Right.
So that's how basically I choose my content approach as well. I'm very clear. I'm only supposed to talk about stuff that most other people would not talk about. So even when I talked about, say, LPG crisis, etc., I know I would get a backlash.
Right.
But I still put out the nuance that India is in a very tight situation, but we are still better off than Taiwan and Japan, because these are what their numbers. I just told you those numbers sometime back.
Correct.
Right? So idea is not to stand out as politically correct.
Right.
Idea is very clear. Put out stuff that other people are missing.
Right.
Even if they would not like to hear about it.
Right.
So take Ola Electric's case. I've been making noise about them, their financials, red flags in their DRHP, etc., their quarterly filings, etc., for over 2 years now. From before they actually went public.
Right.
In this file, there was a good year-long phase where everybody abused me. They told me I was attacking the founders of India, etc., ye, wo, everything. Now I no more get that. Now people are appreciating, because almost every red flag that I was highlighting, it was all in public.
Correct.
I only picked that stuff and said, why are other people not talking about this? Now people are talking about it. Same happened in Gensol Blue Smart saga. They were never the founders of India, they were the frauds of India. Now before they went bust, for 18 months straight, I wrote 7 different deep dives in that 18 months where I called out, things are not adding up.
Right.
Something is wrong. People, please ask questions.
Right.
Now, of course, there are 2 reasons people didn't ask questions. Number 1, company was not public. So whatever the founders were claiming, this was insight to people.
Correct.
It was not, it was information being planted out there. Number 2, the PR game was very, very strong. They were on every podcast, every event, in the panel discussions, ye, wo, everything. They were going to TV screens. They were the star boys. And then what happened? Every single claim that I had made in those 7 deep dives, it suddenly came out correct. Idea is very clear. Even if puts you in an odd situation, take a stand. 2 out of 100 times, you will be wrong. Fine. You will not be remembered for 2 out of 100 things that you went wrong on. You will be remembered for 98 out of 100 things where you actually created value. Sure, there will be 10 people who will always criticize you that you said this that day. That was wrong. Fine. I'm not here to please 10 people.
Yeah.
I'm here to please the wider audience, and there is enough of people who love what I do. So that is how basically you think about it. Your intentions should never be wrong.
Correct.
If your intentions are wrong, then it's a problem.
There's a problem. So it is still sort of well understood right now that the 4th pillar of democracy, okay, is faltering in India. Are YouTubers filling the void, in your opinion?
Not just
or
YouTubers.
Instagram influencers.
Yeah, influencers are in a way, but I don't see it as any way different to the traditional media. There are people who are sold out. There are people who are not, and sold out doesn't mean just to the political parties, the governments, also to the private side of it. Companies actively engage with influencers out there via different agencies, sometimes directly, and buy out their voices, pay them to put out paid narratives, positives or negatives. At times, some people also do it to do hit jobs or the henchman work. So, for example, say we are competitors, and you pay somebody to talk ill of me, to tarnish my image, and all of that also happens. So it's no different than traditional media. It's just that people's consumption is shifting more from the big screen to the small screen, and on the small screen the focus is more towards independent new voices who are able to connect with people in their own language.
But do you think they're filling that void of information that the big media is leaving out, or do you think it's just more of the same, just smaller?
Some people are, majority are not. That is how I would put it. It's not black and white.
So because I think we have Aditya Sedwat, Shyam Meera Singh, Vipin Saroha, Kartik Garg, Shubhangi Degavan, Keshav Bedi is there, Ashmit Gogoi is there, Shekhar Bhattacharya, Parth Kapoor, Pranay Kapoor, Akshat Srivastava, and I'm sure I'm missing a lot of people there. But a lot of genuine work is going out, is at least what I can see. And sure, not everyone will be correct. Like, there are mistakes.
I'm only going to say one thing. Don't trust any of the names you just heard, including mine or you.
Yeah.
audience, please don't trust anybody of us. Media is not giving you insights, media is giving you information. Same are us.
Yeah. And we will have our own agendas.
Treat us all as I would use the word scoundrels. We are all paid out. Always assume that. Even if what we are saying is from genuine heart, always assume that we are paid. Why? Because you don't know.
Correct.
Whatever we are saying, treat as information, and then the same principle. If something sounds too good or too bad, too small or too big, use ChatGPT once. I'm sorry, I know that not everybody has time for it.
I know, yeah.
And much of the content that you consume from us people, especially on Instagram, is you looking for entertainment and then you finding some value out of us. But still, it's a pitfall. It requires some bit of efforts from your end. Please spend some time, Google everything that you see on my page, his page, any of those pages that he mentioned. It can be Dhruv Rathi, it can be Akshar Srivastav, it can be somebody of the totally opposite side.
Whatever it is.
Never trust anybody.
Blindly.
Because trust me on this one. Being somebody in this space, I can tell you this with guarantee. There have been days when the best of voices have sold themselves out. Best of names that you can think of. I don't have any proofs to give you. Neither do I owe you that proof. But trust me when I'm saying this. Please don't trust anybody. Everybody is paid for. आप वो जो देखते हो ना हर किसी को BMW आ रहा है वो सच बोल के नहीं आ रहा है.
I mean, no shade on BMW.
मेरा BMW भी आना बाकी है.
I don't know if to wish for your BMW or not anymore, but yeah. Okay. How did you reach here? You talk about all of these moralities and sciences of economics and all of the things. How did you reach here?
See, multiple different aspects to it. Morality की अगर आप बात करो, it comes from my father. He was very, very, I would say, भारत में, India. India आगे जाना चाहिए.
Yeah.
Never pro towards any party, slightly leaning towards BJP during his days, but very pro India. Always looking forward to what can we learn from other countries, etc. वो वहाँ से आता है. So he was that. He was very well read, very great writer, everything. And of course, comes from Bengal. Rajasthani guy, but born and raised there. Academically did great.
So literally.
वो literally वो आ जाता है. He was of that kind of person, right? जैसे विलियम शेक्सपियर का वो जो है ना जूलियस सीजर, उनको ऐसे आता है तू ब्रूटस ऐसे करके पढ़ते थे.
With that.
And बिना देखे पढ़ते पूरा रटा हुआ था. He was that kind of person. So great, well read person. When I went to college, I realized 6 महीने के अंदर कि यार इंजीनियरिंग तो नहीं कर सकता. Why? मन में एक लाइन सीधा बजी थी कि Sheila and Niranjan Mundhra, my parents, did not give me birth, sacrificed so much so that I become something average in whatever I do. And as an engineer, I was going to be an average guy. I realized within first 6 months because I did not enjoy it at all.
Okay.
So I decided that what to do is something to be figured out. So I told my mother, I promise I won't flunk. I won't fail in any of the exams. I'll get the degree.
Okay.
But apart from that, don't expect good marks from me. I'll do something.
Okay.
What will you do? I told them, I'll figure out. Let us start with UPSC.
Okay.
I started with UPSC preparation. Did it for 6 months. Realized that you can only crack UPSC and become something if you are good with all the subjects.
Correct.
I was not.
Right.
I was only enjoying 2 subjects. One of that was polity. For that, there is a book called Lakshmikant.
Okay.
I fell in love with that book. It was my first instance of actually learning about how the government operates.
Okay.
And I learned so much about, this is what happens in the government. This is amazing. And parallelly, I got introduced to a book called The Art of Policy Making in India.
Okay.
Written by somebody who is very much anti-Modi government, BJP government for political reasons.
Right.
But he was the chief economic advisor to Manmohan Singh ji during the 2008-9 that period. And he had written this book, The Art of Policy Making in India. I read that and I fell in love. That okay, yaar, this is what real efforts of the government actually go towards. It's easy to say that okay, government is not doing this, not doing that, but you have to really get deeper into the nuances of how
it's a huge
every decision has a cost, and everything right you do is going to do wrong to somebody. Right. So it's a lot of calculations that go in. So not defending any government or its incapacities, but there's a lot to learn. So fell in love with those kind of books. Spent the rest 4 years of my life in college only reading and writing. I was writing a lot, and on Crore I got a lot of followers. At that time I had gotten to about 20,000 odd followers. Wrote a book on my father. That also happened. The book did very well because of that entire experience. And parallelly I was reading a lot of stuff about economics, business, history, etc. Mostly post-independence history of India.
Right. And
also other countries like Israel, Qatar, all of that. So learning a lot.
Right.
It was my exploration zone. Phase, the college was. And all of that time, I was doing one very, very right thing. I had fallen in love with stage. So in my very second day in college, one of my professors who was supposed to teach us communications, as in speaking communications.
Okay.
He said that everybody has to come on stage and speak 2 minutes about themselves.
Okay.
I, being Niranjan Mundhra ji's son, so I was like, sir,
Tu Brutus.
me. My father and mother both always pushed me that anytime to go in front of people, never hesitate, irrespective you don't know stuff. So went up, I spoke non-stop for 2 minutes about myself. At the end of it, I realized my shirt was completely wet. I was fully sweating. I spoke, but I realized that okay, under say my body is not really ready for this. This is to solve for. I decided every single opportunity, be it an extempore, be it some debate or discussion or whatever, go to the stage. I started also doing anchoring in different events in college. Then I realized anchoring bhi do tarah ka hota hai. One is a formal event where you're standing behind the dais,
and just
other is that
people.
You're on the stage and you have to engage a lot of people.
The MC
How
side
are you
of
feeling,
it.
everybody? I decided do everything, but I'm really happy that by the end of the college there was never a sweat in the t-shirt or whatever.
Anymore.
Now I was super confident. So all of that happened in college, but all of this stuff doesn't get you a job.
True.
So at the end of 5 years of college, I was like, what to do now?
I told mom something.
Yeah. Plus everybody in college was like, Jayant sir ka to kuch ho hi jayega. Because I had that kind of an aura.
I know, yeah.
Every batch has those 4 or 5 people who are like, so
I can
was
relate
there,
to that because honestly I get that a lot and I know how scary it is.
But I had no idea about what to do. Luckily, one
Right.
of my seniors from college called Jayant, he is now in Bangalore. He basically got on a call with me, agreed to get on a call with me, and he told me, kuch nahi pata na kya karna, become a data analyst.
Huh.
Because as a data analyst, 2 years down,
Okay.
you can still go into any domain.
Okay, that was interesting.
That was a great advice.
Great advice, yeah.
And I was very clear, मम्मी फरीदाबाद में रहती है. After पापा ने बहुत मेहनत से अपनी लाइफ बनाई है. मैं अभी NCR में कहीं जॉब लूँगा ताकि साथ में रह सके. So first company that came to my college is called SmartQ, the SmartQ company, and they were looking for data analysts. I was like, all in, go all in. Cracked that job, got the very first job. I was like, done. So got into that job. Luckily, never was benched. Worked on 4 different projects within 6 months. Realized that if I have to be a data analyst only, why not be a data analyst at an even better firm?
Right.
Because that adds to your CV, right?
Correct.
So I saw that Bain & Company was hiring, made a switch, become a business analyst out there in the CPG team. CPG is consumer product and retail. Worked on multiple different projects for consumer giants like GSK, PepsiCo, etc.
Yeah.
Learned a lot. Tetley from Tata Group, etc. Learned a lot out there and scaled up significantly. In fact, this was one place where, so far in my life, मैं जहाँ पे भी गया was गली का शेर. At Bain, I was like, no boss, I am nowhere. So people out there would talk about convertible debentures, and I would be like, convertible to गाड़ी होती है. I was that dumb.
What is debentures?
Yeah, but luckily I scaled up significantly. I came out of Bain as an average guy at Bain, but an average Bain guy is still Bain
very
average,
much
right?
ahead
It's
of
very
the curve,
different.
yeah.
So decided that I want to get into the startup space. Did a lot of decision making about where to go, where not to go. There are 8 places that I finally interviewed for. All 8 converted later on. One of the places which was paying me second least amount of salary was Class Plus out of Noida. I had fallen in love with the founder, Mukul. One of the 2 founders, Mukul. So I was like, let go of the salary part, let's go with him. It will pay off someday.
Lovely.
I joined there and it really paid off. Trust me. I mean, this man, he changed my life. He changed my thinking, everything. Not that he was teaching me anything every day.
Right.
But just being around him, seeing him take decisions every day and executing things for him. Think of it this way. Even the non-core stuff of a founder's life that he throws at you is still founder ka work.
True.
That makes a lot of difference.
Yeah.
So
There's so many people take up
changed
these
everything
kind of
about
jobs,
me.
yeah.
Changed everything about me. And luckily he was very rewarding as well. So as my work was showing stuff, etc., I was awarded with a lot of ESOPs as well as great hike. Everything was working out very well. No plans to leave the company for the next 5 years. Then these idiot founders, they end up acquiring a company in Mumbai, doing great. So not really idiot, but basically, they acquire a company out of Mumbai called testbook.com.
Okay.
The founders, Ashu and Naru, amazing people. They are brought in to meet us folks out here. I hear that story and I'm like, what the heck am I doing? I need to leave my job. These are people who had no privilege, were in worse of conditions, a ton of responsibilities, yet they had the authority to say that out of IIT Bombay, I'm not going to go and do a job, a well-paying job. Said no to it all and said, we are going to build a business. What business? Don't know, but we'll build some business. But business नहीं चला तो दूसरा बनाएंगे, but business ही बनाएंगे.
Business करेंगे.
Like, that's the mindset. That is what I need to do.
Yeah.
Now, luckily, I had amassed some runway by now.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, you know what? So actually, in my first 2 jobs during Bain and Smarty, I was moonlighting. I was also doing a parallel gig job.
Okay.
So every morning I would wake up around 4:35, spend about 2.5 hours for that. Then on my way in the cab or in the bus towards office, I would be working for that. When returning, I would be working for that. So
that job
way,
was again data analyst. Right?
It was writing for a publication called Swarajya. It's a right-wing leaning publication.
Okay. Swarajya Mag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was writing for them. I was paid 20,000 rupees every month for it.
Oh.
So it was a good sum of money.
Yeah.
So saving a lot of money. So by the time Class Plus, textbook acquisition happened, I was like, I had acquired some runway for myself. So I said, you know what, it's time to leave the job. So I knew Mukul would be very furious. It took me 2.5 months to convince Mukul. Family was convinced in just 3 minutes. I was like really shocked that they have so much confidence in me and I didn't have that.
I didn't have it about myself.
But then basically, it took me about 2.5 months to convince Mukul and Bhaswat, especially Mukul, who I was much more closer to, and he had personally invested in making sure that I really grew in life, in learnings as well as money, every possible way.
Right.
So 2.5 months to convince him, and another 2.5 months to delegate all my responsibilities to people. So you know how most people are, that I've put in my papers, I'll stay for the notice period and then leave. It was never about notice period for me. It was practically a 5-month notice period for me, right? It's never a notice period, it's a relationship thing. I left that company knowing that this is a relationship for life. I love Mukul, I love Bhaswat, I love Class Plus folks, and I would never leave them ki notice period ho gaya mera, main ja raha hu.
Correct.
So
you can't leave them dry and hanging, especially with that kind of relationship.
So we share a very special bond till today. I call these people my bada bhaiya and everything, bada bhai, and we are here for each other. I still keep on bugging them for a ton of stuff. Thank you so much, both of you, especially Mukul. But basically, so left my job that way. Now I have to figure out what to do. So I decided that, okay, you know what? I'm only good with 3 things in life. One is writing, other is research, third is public markets.
Right.
So let's combine the 3 of these skills and do given writing was one of the 3 skills. Let's just do content. Let us do a content-led offering to attract and target the classes of India, the decision makers of India, the people with money and power.
Yeah.
One-line definition: these are people who decide for the prospects for at least 5 people out there in one way or another. So there came the content-led play, that okay, I'll do business deep dives that nobody else is talking about, and this should be non-trending content, and it would work. And if it works, 4 or 5 people out of these 3 lakh odd people out there of this profile in India, they should come and tell me that, hey, can you do this for me, that for me, and pay me yearly 20-25 lakh rupees. I'm sorted for life. That was the whole thesis.
Right.
Luckily, the content began to work. I realized that, okay, content is working, but there is another problem. I was putting out content on LinkedIn. LinkedIn can never give you access. It can only give you reach.
Right.
So you have to divert reach to a platform where you can cultivate access.
Right.
So I decided that, okay, let's parallelly build a WhatsApp community. So on LinkedIn, I'm putting out one new business deep dive every morning, 8:30 a.m. If you join my WhatsApp community, at the end there is a link of at the bottom of every LinkedIn deep dive, there is a link to a WhatsApp community. If you join that, you get 4 or 5 such deep dives every single day. That was the whole promise.
Yeah. I can assure you that happens because I am in that community. So just letting you know, I'm reading way too much now. There's so much information I'm getting from you. I am just getting so much knowledge.
Thank you so much, boss. The idea is very simple. Bring people into WhatsApp community. Make it one way, because if everybody is chatting out there, then nobody is getting value, because whenever you open WhatsApp, there are 200 chats, you're not going to read it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Idea is very simple. Make it one-way communication with my number out to everybody. Let people ping in.
Right.
उनको abuse करना है, they'll ping. उनको तारीफ करना है, they'll ping. उनको what I've shared उसमें कोई गलती निकालना है, they'll ping. If they want to discuss something more above and beyond कि इसमें ये भी हो रहा है, etc. आपने miss कर दिया, ping करो. आपको कुछ और business का बात करना है, कोई और possibility explore करना है, मेरे साथ काम करना है, ping me. Spam my inbox. Now that is another problem to solve for, but it's a good problem to solve for. That people are reaching out.
Yeah.
So that was the whole thesis. It worked like beautifully. So this began to work very well. Decided that okay, this classes funnel, the decision making को target करना, this is working out very well for me. So I decided now let's also target the timeshare.
Okay.
Offer them content that makes them consume more of my work instead of choosing to spend time on YouTube, Netflix, or something else.
Correct.
So that's where the idea came. Let's also build a newsletter IP. So I started to build a newsletter called Decoding the Dragon, because people in India just don't understand China at all.
Absolutely.
Let's be very clear about that.
Yeah, that's true.
And given my public markets wala thing, I had been reading about China at least for 2 hours every single day. Yeah. Even today I spend at least 1 hour.
All roads inevitably lead to China at this point.
I am very clear. If you're investing in public markets in India, one of the 3 things for every single company come from China. Either your competitor is a Chinese company or more than one Chinese company. Either your supplier is one or more Chinese companies, or your capital flows are one way or another determined by some activities by some Chinese company or government.
That's it.
So you have to understand China. If you don't understand China, I'm really sorry, people might disagree, but you're not really meant for Indian markets or even any other markets. So I decided that, okay, let us do content on China.
Yeah.
I happen to spend a lot of time working on it. I have a lot of insights. I can bring out stuff that nobody would out there have access to.
Correct.
That was the whole idea about that IP. The IP worked like magic.
Yeah.
It's called Decoding the Dragon. It's some 9,500 odd subscribers, but some of the topmost people in India are readers. So I found a lot of confidence.
I'm subscribed there also.
So I thought that, okay, you know what, this is working out great. Let's build one more IP that will help me get more of timeshare of these people.
Yeah.
There came in another IP called Bharatnama. Again, did great. About some 6,500 subscribers on that one. In this while, I had also tried YouTube and Instagram twice, video content, never really worked for me. Later on, I went on a podcast with Kushal Lodha. He's based out of Mumbai, a great person, great creator, great finance creator. So we enjoyed the experience. He calls me on his podcast again. We do that. And thereafter, we are sitting in Lodha Park in Worli on the 7th deck. People who would know, there is a big swimming pool out there. And right next to the swimming pool, we are sitting night, maybe 10-15 p.m. And he's like, dude, what's wrong with you? Why the heck are you not putting out video content? Your insights are something nobody else is talking about. You should be putting out video.
Yeah.
It will go crazy viral. And I'm like, no, yaar, not meant. And I was like, no, yaar, I can't do it. I've tried twice before. And I'm very clear, time and energy are two finite resources. You have to optimize for them. And very judiciously allocate time and energy to only things that deliver some bang for the buck.
Yeah.
And I've already failed twice on video. Why would I do it again?
Yeah.
It's wastage of time and energy. They're like, नहीं कैसे किया etc. ये बता. I told him मैंने क्या किया. And like, नहीं ऐसे मत कर. Your insights are the substance.
Right.
Just record yourself and put it out.
Yeah.
नहीं यार. He pushed me so hard. Next day in the morning, at hotel in Andheri, I record something. I put it out. Very dim light, very bad audio, and it's 15,000 views. I'm like, this is crazy. And people are liking it. 15,000 views. Today, if a video does 15,000 views only, I would be like,
you're disappointed.
But it was like victory at that time, right? So I was like, karte hain. So in 26 days, I got to 10,000 followers.
Lovely.
I was like, this is working.
26 days.
Yeah. I was like, this is working, yeah. Now I'm a video creator. But then out in Gurgaon, I meet another creator called C.A. Sumit Mehta. Amazing person again.
Yeah.
He meets me and tells me, यार मैं मजा नहीं आ रहा, चलेगा नहीं आपका.
अच्छा.
तो मैं बोला क्यों यार? 26 day 10K feels good. Like 10K ही तो हुए ना, 100K भी तो हो सकते थे. बोला अच्छा, tell me what would you do differently. I was like, कुछ ज्ञान अब ये देगा.
Right.
So in just one line, he was like, he changed me entirely. He said what? भाई आप ना LinkedIn वाली भाषा लिखते हो, आप 3 साल से LinkedIn पे लिखते आ रहे हो. There is a big difference in the LinkedIn language and the Instagram language or the YouTube language. Why? Because both are consumed very differently.
Correct.
People consume LinkedIn anytime, but people consume Instagram when they are done with work.
Yes.
And they want a break.
Sometimes, not always.
Mostly. So most of the people consume Instagram when they want a break. And when they want a break, they don't want knowledge, insights.
Correct.
They're not looking for that.
Yeah.
What they are looking for is basically one simple thing that is called entertainment or curiosity. So we did two simple things, entertainment, curiosity.
Yeah.
So even if you want to give some knowledge or insight,
yeah,
it has to be delivered as entertainment or curiosity.
Got it.
How do you do it? He gave me a simple example. LinkedIn पे आप लिखोगे, अगर आपके घर चूहे आ गए हैं, ये 4 चीज करो, चूहे भाग जाएंगे.
Okay.
That's value creation knowledge.
That is LinkedIn.
On Instagram you'll have to put the same thing this way. भाई मेरे घर चूहे आ गए थे, 4 चीजें करी, तब जाके शांति मिली है. Now the other person wants to know कि यार क्या हुआ.
There should be a bit of emotion. There should
Curiosity.
be problem statement, and that hanging.
Emotions also don't matter. Emotions only work if it generates either entertainment or curiosity.
Right.
If it doesn't generate either of the two,
it's useless.
It's useless. And that insight changed my game. And today is what, 135th day that I've been doing video content.
Okay.
And I'm at what, 275K followers, something like that. It's crazy. Because of that insight. That day I also learned that, okay, I have complained multiple times that I do such good content on researched content, hard work content. It works great on LinkedIn, but when I put the same thing on Twitter or X now, it has never worked. The algorithm doesn't support my work. Now I know that it's not X that is problem.
It's
It's more that I have not yet cracked the language of that platform. All I do is LinkedIn का post लिया, उसको छोटे में break करके यहाँ डाल दिया. That's where the error happens. I need to crack the language. So, because of Kushal and Sumit Mehta, they are the reason that my Instagram journey happened. Plus, I learned this language wala theory, but this really changed the game. And this while, of course, my Zero the Fuchs came. They supported my newsletter for a while. Then later on, that partnership ended. Great folks, amazing. It's just we did not find a common path.
And that's fine.
And later on, Grow folks came. We aligned on a common path, and I wanted to do YouTube, and I was very clear I can't do it alone. They said, you know what, let's make it happen. So they are supporting me with that, and we are building a channel together. It's their channel. I'm the face of it. The channel is called Grow Edge. I select the topics. I do the research. I prepare the scripts. I go in front of the camera. They set up the studio. They bring the team equipment. They record everything. They do the editing. They do the thumbnails and make the video live. That is how it works. But amazing experience working with them. But this is what my entire journey has been about. Using this, of course, I get a lot of other work. So I do LinkedIn personal branding for a bunch of founders and VCs. I do research work for a bunch of family offices. Not a bunch, but 3 family offices and 2 HNIs. That is there. And yeah, so that's my small world. That's the journey.
The world is so damn big for you, but it's so lovely to hear. Not only because it's entertaining, but the fact that it shows you had to make a conscious choice of growing.
Yeah.
You felt the perspiration on your back, and you changed not from bad to good, but from good to something better. And that, I think, is missing a lot in India. We are way too comfortable, way too happy with what little happens to be coming our way.
Yeah.
Not something that we go and get, but something that just happens to be there. And that mediocrity, I think we should be done with that being the fan of mediocrity in India.
Yeah.
It would be so much better. So, boss, now that your community has grown to 45,000 plus people, and I'm sure it is still growing even while you're sitting here. How do you manage such a community? Because the group that I am in is group number 35 or something, and I don't know if it's the China one or if it's the Bharatnama one. And
it's Biz News Plus.
It's Biz News Plus. And every time I go there, okay, I don't know how do you know that, but it is so crazy for me to even think. Every time I see that number 35, I'm like, I am not the 35th person. I'm one person in the 35th group. How many groups are you managing? How do you do it?
So see, the game is very simple. That there are 37 groups, and there is a WhatsApp channel.
Okay.
WhatsApp channel has some 11,000 people.
Okay.
So WhatsApp channel is for people who want to protect their numbers from going out. In a WhatsApp group, it's visible.
Okay.
Right. So there are 37 groups with a lot of people in them, and a WhatsApp channel. Now people might say, why do you have WhatsApp group at all? That's because when I started this entire thing, there was no concept of a channel or a community.
Oh.
Right. So, but that is how it basically started. And idea is very simple. Put out content from my own number. People are going to give you, so every day I get like 200 to 400 messages, anywhere in between, depending on how many posts I'm putting out.
Right.
Now, I have a simple promise to the entire community that 99% of the times you're going to receive a response within 7 days. It's not possible for me to, respond to everybody in the same day.
Yeah.
But what I do is every Saturday or Sunday I find 3 hours. I'll switch off the internet and reply to everybody in one single go. Turn on the internet and I'm done for that week. Thereafter, I only reply to people for the next 6 days whose numbers I have saved on my phone.
Right.
Because it must be somebody important in some ways or related to me, or somebody I've built a relationship with over time for me to think that, okay, their number needs to be a saved number on my phone. So that is how it basically works. But yeah, that is the whole framework. Otherwise, it's very simple. How does content go out? Content is already written. You put it on the WhatsApp channel. Forward from there. You have to forward it basically a total of 8 times. It goes everywhere. At once, you can forward a message to 5 people, 5 groups.
And
so
then
you
again,
do it 8
you have
times.
to start it.
That's the whole process. So people often tell me that, why don't you get some tech for it? Like,
I don't need it.
8 बार forward ही करना है, इसमें कोई effort नहीं है. कल कोई 100 group होगा, सोचेंगे. But problem हो तो सही, अभी ये problem नहीं है.
Exactly. And I love the fact that you don't want to optimize every single aspect just because it could be. You do it because it should be. And that filter is most important.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so you get a lot of flack from people, often saying that, oh, you criticize so many businesses, try building one, and with that, but the thing is, you are building a business. Can you tell us more about how your personal experience of building businesses actually informs the way you look at these companies during analysis?
See, I'm very clear. देखो, my core skill is research and writing. Okay. Now the research I do research for my own stock market things. That is how it was.
Right.
But the same research, if it also helps me do content and take my skill sets to and display to wider audience, why not do it?
Correct.
That is what I started doing. Now it got me work for LinkedIn personal branding.
Right.
That became a business stream for me.
Yeah.
I did not plan it that way. But people saw that, okay, he writes very good and he's built a personal brand. Why not ask him, can you do it for me? And that is how it started. I'm working with 7 different founders, VCs and a BFSI leader. It happened that way.
Right.
So that is one. Same way, the research itself. So writing became a business. Likewise, the research thing that I was doing for my own stock market investments, the same research was being used for content as well. Turns out there are a lot of family offices out there, a lot of investors out there who keep on, reaching out. Hey, can you dig into this stuff, that stuff? Right. That gave me the idea, hey, this can be a paid initiative. This can be a business. So that became another business. These are all both small businesses, but they're still businesses.
Correct.
Third thing is creating content for other brands.
Right.
So there are a bunch of brands, some public, some in public information that I'm working with them, some not yet, but I'm building content that goes on their page.
Okay.
So for example, one public such initiative is Grow Edge, is the YouTube channel that I'm building with Grow.
Right.
Or for Grow, whatever you call it. But that is one example. So these are the 3 small businesses I'm building. I don't like calling that. These are 3 businesses I'm building because 3 या 4 दिन पहले पता नहीं किसका रील देखा था एक मैंने कि जो भी बिजनेस कर रहे हो उसको भी छोटा मत बोलो. तो इसलिए I won't call it a small business. बिजनेस चला रहे हैं, 3 बिजनेस है and growing them gradually.
Excellent. And how do you extract the story out of the data? Because both of them are there, they're available to everyone. Maybe the story is not, but the data is there for everyone. How do you extract the story out of the data?
Sir, to be very frank, I don't know how to answer this.
Okay.
I think मैं 2014 से लिखते आ रहा हूँ. Now एक saying है कि आप किसी काम को अगर 1000 घंटे करो आप उस पर अच्छे हो जाते हो. किसी काम को if you do something for 1000 hours you get good at it. If you do something for 10,000 hours you become a pro at it.
Yeah.
So I think I've spent more than 10,000 hours, well more than 10,000 hours writing. So I've innately become good at storytelling.
I'm really hopeful that people take up writing as a core part of their operations. We as a society have drifted away from writing so much that our handwritings are non-existent. They are not bad. We literally can't write anymore. So I think that's a good insight even though you think it's not much of an insight, but I think it is. If I had to start stock analysis today, what basics would you advise me to work on day one?
अगर आप समय निकाल सकते हो दिन का कम से कम 3-4 घंटे रिसर्च के लिए तो ही खुद से स्टॉक मार्केट करिए, अदरवाइज टाइम पास मत करो. आप किसी म्यूचुअल फंड वाले को दो.
Got it.
म्यूचुअल फंड ज़्यादा पैसा पीएमएस वाले को दे दो, देख लो किसको देना है, बट खुद मत करो.
Got it.
Only do it yourself if you have minimum 3 to 4 hours minimum to spend into research.
Got it.
On a sustained basis. यानी कि हफ्ते में एक बार.
Right. You have to do it a consistent amount.
Otherwise, trust me, you can't do a good job. Lucky हो सकते 2-3 बार निकल गए, but you can't do a good job.
Yeah. What YouTube channels do you subscribe to for finance and geopolitical analysis? And also name any newsletters, reporters, authors and blogs.
I don't consume much of video content, so I don't think I even know which channels I subscribe to. I consume a lot of readable content.
Okay.
So every single subscription that you can think of on the news arena, the good ones, be it The Economist, the Bloomberg, I'm subscribed to those. SCMP from China, I read that very actively. When it comes to Indian newspapers, I have subscriptions to Business Standard, Economic Times, Live Mint, Hindu Business Line, The Hindu. I also have subscription to the new age publications like The Morning Context, The Ken, The Cap Table. I read them all. So every day 5 hours is reserved for reading.
Okay.
And very clear. Earlier it was 2 hours, but now 1 hour for China. 1 hour is for commodities, be it gas, be it crude, be it gold, be it silver, be it steel or cement. Another 1 hour is basically to read about the startup world. So those 3 publications, that is the Ken, the Morning Context and the Cap Table, those are what get used out there.
Okay.
Another 1 hour is basically to understand what is happening in the world of business. So reading all those newspapers,
Okay.
ET, Business Standard that I told you about.
Yeah.
1 hour is basically for miscellaneous stuff.
Okay.
So that is a simple framework. And of course, there are days when I'm traveling, so I don't spend 5 hours, maybe 2.5, 3 hours. But there are days when there are some functions, etc. It comes down to 4 hours, 3 hours, etc. But reading is still happening every single day. That's non-compromisable.
There is just one question. There are a lot of these newspapers that you spoke about. Everyone knows about these newspapers. They have access to it. But one important distinction becomes, what news should you read, and how do you filter which news you should read? And
I don't filter what news to read. I filter what not to read.
How do you do that?
That is a big difference.
Yes.
I am very clear. मेरे को ये नहीं पढ़ना रेप कहाँ हुआ, मर्डर क्या हुआ,
Okay.
या फिर कहाँ किडनैपिंग हुई. Skip that.
Okay.
Not that it doesn't matter. I can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
So why bother?
Yeah.
Right? What can I do something about? Focus on those things. So that is gone. Don't focus on what some politician is now giving, what politician is coming to your city, what is he announcing, etc. Doesn't make much of a difference. I am very clear. After removing all of those things, I am very clear that much of what remains out there is something that every morning I'll open in a new tab. Then it's more about luck. What tab gets open first? Read it.
Got it.
Idea is very simple. Try to exhaust all the tabs in a single day. It never works. There are more than 500 different tabs that will be open on my laptop right now, but and I have 2 laptops, so it's much more than that. But very clear about this thing, that this is the whole framework.
Got it.
And I think this works very well, right? You don't have. There is enough room for surprise about what you may end up reading that you like.
That is true.
But very clear what not to read.
Serendipity is a beautiful thing. You don't know what you'll come about by
Absolutely.
doing something absolute random.
Absolutely.
How can the next generation be trained to question authority productively and effectively?
Curious रहो, सवाल पूछो. अब इसका कोई ट्रेनिंग नहीं होता ना सर. It's a choice to be curious. If you are somebody जो कि इंश्योर्स पे कुछ पढ़ता है, इंश्योर्स कोई बुरी कंपनी नहीं, बहुत अच्छा काम कर रही है, बट अगर आप उस पर 60 वर्ड्स में कुछ पढ़ के, 60 कैरेक्टर्स में कुछ पढ़ के, जो भी, you feel like yes you know stuff, let's share it. You are not doing any service. You are a stupid person. No offense. Hard opinions, I reserve the right to be wrong, but you're a stupid person.
All right.
If you are somebody who really cares about the country, if you read something that is important to the country, always dig deeper.
Okay.
When you dig deeper, you'll always find stuff that you have not been told about.
Right.
It could be positive as well as negative. If it's positive, tell more people about it.
Right.
If it's negative, raise more questions about it.
Correct.
As simple as that. You have to be curious enough to do that.
When will Indians, if ever, be able to hold accountable the people who are destroying the true potential of India right now?
When they start to be curious and ask questions. That is the only way.
I walked right into it, which is true. I mean, I do agree, because the first question was sort of a pretext for these kinds of things to happen.
Yeah.
But let's see if they let it. India's population, what do you think about it? Is it a boon or a bane?
I don't have an answer to that. I really don't. I would say there are states where it is a boon. There are states where it is a bane. There is no blanket India answer. I know people would like to give around blanket India answers, but that doesn't really serve any purpose.
I personally look at it as an asset. I think India's population, the existence of Indian population being that high as it is, I think it's our biggest unexploited, unutilized asset in general.
If it is unexploited, untapped,
Then it is useless.
just like our potash reserves.
We
have a lot of those.
I don't think you will be letting the potash reserves go.
I mean, it's a big loss. We are importing $1 billion worth of potash every year. Why? Let's harness that resource out of Hanumangarh. They need the development.
But not without environmental clearance, and I want to ensure that
Of course, that always matters. But
our earth is, because see, you have seen Ganga and Yamuna and what has happened to these lovely rivers of ours that we claim to love like our mothers, but we don't keep them like our mothers.
no, absolutely agree with you. I align on that part.
Anyway, China and India essentially started the same, okay, as a country, but they took very different paths. What should we have done?
It's a very subjective question.
Okay.
There are things that we did right, and there are things that we did not.
Yeah.
Where we really failed is not much on the intent part of it, but more on the implementation part of it.
Alright.
Why? Because the people who had to implement things, they never really had a heart for India. And what I'm talking about is the politicians and the bureaucracy of India. No offense to anybody, but there are good people out there, but much of them are not.
Yeah.
These people always have had the choice to take the calls that China took.
Yeah.
Back then, they said you're copying others. Then they said you're stealing others' tech. Then they said you're selling below price, below cost, and subsidizing it all from the public exchequer's money.
Yeah.
This is all about China, right?
Yeah.
What do you complain?
Yeah.
Now what are we doing? We are now, we have learned our lesson. We are implementing the same PLI scheme that was actually designed by China
Right.
25 years ago.
Correct.
And now we think that it's a good scheme.
Yeah.
And it is actually a good scheme.
It is a good scheme. Yeah.
And it worked very beautiful over China. Think of it this way. People complain that, China gives out a lot of subsidies to its industries, right?
Yeah.
Where does that money come from?
The people.
It's us, the people of other countries. I'll explain how.
Yeah.
So last year, China recorded a trade surplus of $1.2 trillion.
Wow.
A year before that, that was $1.05 trillion. Massive growth. This is despite Trump's tariffs, ye wo, everything.
20%.
$1.2 trillion trade surplus. Where does it go?
We take it.
We give it.
Oh, yeah, obviously. I mean,
Yeah.
we
Where does it go?
take the goods and
it directly
we give
adds to China's forex reserves and the exchequer money and the businesses out there.
Yeah.
With so much money, dollar income, yen income, euro income coming in from outside into China every single, such insane amount of money. The government can easily subsidize everything.
Yeah.
And that is how it works. This
And
is why when it comes to China exporting containers, on every exported container, China gives back 17% value. Because पैसा आ रहा है, वो दूसरे देशों से जो पैसा आ रहा है उससे बांट रहे हैं. That is the big difference.
It's a virtuous cycle that they have started.
Absolutely.
It started by copying. We insulted them.
Now we are copying them.
Yeah.
Best part is, when they were doing all of this, right, they were the only ones doing it. So there was zero competition.
Correct.
Now when we are doing PLI scheme, Vietnam, Indonesia, South Korea, even Japan and USA,
Bangladesh.
everybody is pouring out more and more incentives.
Correct.
So we are competing कि कौन ज़्यादा incentive देगा.
Right.
वहाँ पे जाएंगे industries.
Now it's a downward spiral.
Yeah.
In a sense.
Back then, Chinese people are doing wrong. They're giving away things to the private sector to make this cheap.
Right.
Now what are we doing? JSW Group is setting up a big plant near Nagpur in Maharashtra itself.
Right.
And the state government has offered a lot of incentives, including 110% of SGST rebate.
110%
10% of SGST rebate.
How do you give 110% SGST?
दे रहे हैं. ये इंडस्ट्री चाहिए, बाकी स्टेट्स उससे उतना देने को रेडी, इनको ज़्यादा देना पड़ रहा है. They are competing now.
Lovely.
I'm not complaining here.
नहीं, this is.
कंप्लेन करूंगा तो उस चीज के ऊपर करूंगा. उनको क्यों मिल रहा है, मैं लगाऊंगा तो मुझे नहीं मिलेगा किसी. बट ठीक है, दैट्स नॉट द पॉइंट. पॉइंट इज नाउ वी आर लर्निंग फ्रॉम चाइना, राइट?
Yeah.
We could have done it 25 years ago.
We should have.
Intent was missing. We were not looking inwards. We were rather focused on poking holes into other strategy.
Yeah.
That other person has gone miles.
Yeah. And honestly, I would not have blamed ourselves much if we weren't standing in line to buy from them. We were. It's like going to your shopkeeper and saying, oh, you sell. He's like, okay, you buy. And you do, and you come home. And you're still blaming your shopkeeper. Either you open a shop or you open a farm.
Yeah.
What is this business?
Yeah.
There's a lot of chatter about USD being replaced by yuan, the Chinese one. Is it even possible given how China's financial market and central bank makeup and regulation exists?
It is already happening. A lot of countries are doing this, and the numbers are bonkers. It's increasing very rapidly. But the overall proportion of or market share in terms of how much of international payments are settled in yuan is still very, very small. It is growing very fast at a very small base.
Got it.
So very small numbers right now, but the Chinese ambitions are big. How they are trying to promote it is basically, that they are going out to countries saying, let's build infrastructure out here, let's do trade out here, and special terms if you trade in our currency.
Got
The
it.
exchange जो भी आपका currency वाला होता है, right? उसमें जो आपका खर्चा आता है, minimize कर देंगे, सब कुछ कर देंगे. Chinese are happy to take that hit.
Right.
But the idea is let us promote more and more trade in yuan.
Correct.
So they're actually investing heavily into that, and they're also building a lot of tech capabilities to make it the cost even more efficient. So they're actually doing a lot of that stuff.
Got it. Lovely. Jayant, it was such a pleasure hosting. I mean, I don't even have to read the script for this. This has been something that I have been looking forward to since I saw your first reel. Okay. And at that point, we had just started doing this. In fact, I hadn't shot my first episode also. But there was this part where I felt this is someone who works hard, comes from a place of honesty, and admits mistake. These three things are what I look for in any human. And the fact that I see it in you, it makes me feel so lucky that I was fortunate enough for you to entertain me enough that we did this. Thank you so much.
नहीं सर, यू आर मच काइंड. आप बहुत प्यार दे रहे हो, बहुत बात कर रहे हो अच्छे से मुझसे, उसके लिए थैंक यू. बहुत अच्छा लगा यहाँ आके, बस आपने पनीर टिक्का खिलाया सबको, मज़ा आ गया.
अरे और बहुत खिलेंगे, ये तो कुछ भी नहीं है.
नहीं, बट ऑन अ सीरियस नोट, इट्स बीन अ प्लेजर, इट्स बीन अ ग्रेट एक्सपीरियंस. थैंक्स टू द टीम आउट हियर. आदित्य नाम है आपका, राइट? थैंक्स मच, यू आर ग्रेट एंड वेरी कोऑपरेटिव. एंड मुझे इतना सुनना लोगों के लिए आसान नहीं होता, आपने सुना उसके लिए धन्यवाद. आपको भी, सबको.
अच्छा, आई हैव वन लास्ट क्वेश्चन फॉर यू. दिस इज क्या बोलते हैं, selfish question. Why did you decide to do this pod with us, being as we have zero sort of credibility to speak of?
मुकुल इज द आंसर. मुकुल ने एक बात सिखाई थी, लाइफ में आपको बहुत कम लोग मिलेंगे जो कि आप पे कन्विक्शन दिखाए, एंड यू आर आफ्टर की करना है. इन द वे दैट मीन्स यू आर शोइंग कन्विक्शन इन मी कि नहीं यार, बंदे में कुछ तो है. अगर कोई आप पे कन्विक्शन दिखा रहा है, बहुत कम लोग ऐसे होते हैं, एक बार जरूर उनके साथ बैठो. नहीं लगे कि अच्छा है तो ऐसे हवा में तो आगे मत बैठना, बट एक बार सबके साथ बैठना चाहिए, क्योंकि ऐसे लोग मिलते नहीं है. सो थैंक यू फॉर दैट, जेन्युइनली. एंड थैंक्स टू मुकुल फॉर टीचिंग मी दैट, क्योंकि इस प्रिंसिपल ने हमेशा मुझे बहुत अच्छे लोगों से मुलाकात करवाई है. बहुत कम लोग होते हैं जो ऐसे मिलते हैं, लेकिन उनके इतना आगे कुछ ना कुछ बहुत अच्छा होता है.
I need to bring Mukul on the pod then.